Welcome back, Heartland fans. In a startling turn of events, the unexpected disappearance of Anya Sharma in the Line Shift episode, The Mind Shift, could redefine everything. Viewers have followed her journey, witnessing her overcome obstacles and celebrate victories. But has her narrative arc reached its conclusion? What unfolds when the protagonist we've championed is no longer the central figure guiding us through the show's core? Anya Sharma's destiny hangs precariously, and this story will make you reconsider everything you believed. About the mind shift, prepare for a narrative twist that no one anticipated. The story commenced with a hopeful tone. Anya had just made a significant stride in her covert operations, handling some of the most intricate data breaches she'd ever faced. Her unit felt more cohesive than ever, with each member achieving personal milestones. The shadow of a past failure, codenamed Echo, still loomed over them. Yet Anya appeared to be navigating her path forward, gaining strength with each passing day. However, as the mission progressed, peculiar incidents began to surface, incidents that would pave the way for the shocking development that was imminent. It started subtly, with strange anomalies in their secure communication lines that no one could initially decipher. At first, they dismissed them as insignificant, a string of technical glitches easily ignored, but an undeniable tension filled the air. The usually secure environment of their operations hub started to feel like it was on a countdown. Anya's typically composed and resolute demeanor began to show strains as she encountered new, perilous cyber threats. Secure systems that were once stable were becoming erratic, and the normally smooth team dynamics were growing tense. Anya's intuition signaled that something was amiss, but she couldn't pinpoint it. Was it merely stress from the high-stakes operation, or was a more insidious force at play? Despite all this, she remained focused, working relentlessly to keep their mission on track. She was driven to uphold the integrity of their unit, but the responsibility was beginning to weigh heavily on her. But it wasn't just the systems and the mission mentors that seemed. As Anya worked, she observed that the attitudes of her team members were shifting. Liam, her second in command, seemed preoccupied. Zara was acting withdrawn, and even their stoic commander Davies had become unusually reserved, as if he too was sensing the pressure from the changing operational dynamics. And yet Anya pressed on, refusing to let any obstacle deter her. She was determined to keep everything together, but she was unaware that something far more dangerous than their daily operational challenges was looming. Then came the moment that would start the countdown to the climax. An encrypted message in the dead of night, urgent and fragment. Anya didn't recognize the sender's signature, but the decoded fragments sent a shiver down her spine. Reports of the old data haven immediately. Compromise detected. It concerns Echo. Panic surged through her. She bolted from her bunk and navigated the city's underbelly, her thoughts racing with dreadful possibilities. Was there an insider threat within their unit? Was someone attempting to sabotage their operation or harm her? Or worse, was there a vulnerability linked to the Echo failure that she couldn't contain? When Anya reached the abandoned data haven, it was unnervingly silent. The usual hum of dormant servers was absent, and the reinforced door was slightly ajar. It was evident that the site had been breached. Inside, she found only a single cryptic data chip left on a dusty terminal. The message displayed, "The past is never truly offline." Her heart plummeted. This message was more than just a warning. It was a precursor to what was unfolding. Something was about to happen that no one, not even Anya, could have foreseen. As the message burned into her mind, Anya was left to ponder. Was this a relic of the past, a communication from a time she believed was long gone, or was this the initial indication that something far more sinister was in motion? Could the abrupt shift in the atmosphere surrounding their operations be leading to an unthinkable betrayal or loss? The questions inundated her thoughts, but she knew one thing for certain: she couldn't confront this alone. As the stakes escalated, Anya would have to depend on the people she trusted to uncover the truth before it was too late. The fragments of the puzzle were just beginning to connect, but they were widely dispersed, and some were about to become critically dangerous. The uneasy quiet before the storm was rapidly dissipating, The show that viewers had followed for years was about to take a turn that no one could have foreseen. Was Anya Sharma's fate sealed from the moment she entered that data haven? Or was this just the commencement of a much more perilous game, one that would culminate in the loss of a key operative, leaving everyone reeling and questioning all they thought they knew? Anya's path was heading towards a devastating confrontation, but no one could guess just how close they were to the final critical moment. The window for answers was closing, the storm was gathering, and it was targeting Anya Sharma. Would she make it through? As the days followed the disturbing discovery at the data haven, the tension within the mind shift continued to intensify. Anya's sleepless nights became more common, her mind constantly replaying the cryptic message she had found. Who would send her such a targeted data chip, and why now? Despite the escalating sense of unease, Anya did her utmost to maintain normalcy, focusing on her operational duties and trying to keep her team cohesive. But with each day that passed, the feeling of imminent danger became harder to suppress. One morning, Anya received another encrypted communication, this time from an unverified source. She paused, feeling the weight of apprehension pressing down on her. When she decrypted it, the synthesized voice on the other end was distorted. Anya Sharma, the voice stated, cold and emotionless, "You believe you've moved on from the past, but it's catching up to you. The secrets you thought were buried will resurface, and this time, there's no firewall strong enough." The connection terminated before she could trace it, leaving Anya with a profound sense of unease in her gut. What was this individual threatening her with? Who were they? It felt deeply personal, yet no one in her immediate circle seemed to have any information about it. Anya's mind was racing. Could it be someone from a previous, classified operation, a forgotten adversary she had underestimated? Or was it a warning about something even more covert that she had yet to uncover? The remainder of the day passed in a blur. Anya couldn't shake the sensation of being monitored, of knowing that something was lurking just beyond her perception. She couldn't articulate it, but her instincts warned her that danger was drawing nearer. The operational hub felt different now, stark, unfamiliar, as though the very walls were constricting around her. She tried to concentrate on her analysis, but every time she accessed secure files or moved through the corridors, she felt as though someone or some program was tracking. It wasn't just Anya who sensed the shift. Liam, Anya's pragmatic colleague, was also becoming increasingly concerned. He noticed how Anya was becoming more isolated, immersing herself in her work as a means to manage her escalating anxiety. Liam attempted to offer support and reassurance, but Anya remained distant, too engrossed in the unfolding mystery to fully confide in him. Even Commander Davies, who had always been a steadfast leader for the unit, was visibly troubled. He had guided Anya through numerous challenging situations over the years, but this felt different. The resilient and resourceful operative, who had faced countless threats with composure, was now clearly shaken, no longer the same person he knew. One evening, after another exhausting day of searching for digital breadcrumbs, Anya decided to take a solitary walk through the city's neon-lit streets to clear her head. She navigated her way to a disused observation deck, overlooking the sprawling metropolis, a place where she had often found moments of clarity. But tonight, even the familiar cityscape couldn't soothe her. Then she noticed a shadowy figure, leaning against a far railing. For a moment she thought her fatigued mind was deceiving her, but the figure remained motionless, too deliberate. Anya's heart pounded as she peered into the dim light. The figure stepped forward slowly, emerging into a patch of light. She gasped when she recognized him. It was someone she believed was long gone from her life, someone she had never anticipated encountering again. The figure was none other than Marcus, a former contact from Echo, someone who had vanished from the grid years ago. Anya had once trusted Marcus implicitly, but seeing him now, shrouded in the urban twilight, felt unsettling. He didn't speak at first, just observed her, his expression indecipherable. Finally he spoke, his voice low and laden with unspoken history. "I never expected to find you here again," Anya said, attempting to keep her voice steady. "What's happening, Marcus? Why are you here?" Marcus took a deep breath, his eyes reflecting deep regret. Anya, there's something you're not aware of, something I should have disclosed a long time ago. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but it's critical. They're targeting you and they're targeting the unit's entire infrastructure. Anya's breath hitched. Who? Who's targeting? Before Marcus could elaborate, the distinct sound of a high-speed drone whirring nearby interrupted their clandestine meeting. Anya turned sharply, startled by the sudden sound. When she looked back towards Marcus, he had disappeared into the urban sprawl as if he had never been there. Anya stood frozen, her mind racing, trying to comprehend what had just transpired. Had Marcus been attempting to warn her? And if so, what precisely was he trying to protect her from? The implication, however, was clear. There was an active threat, and it was aimed at her and the mind shift. The storm was no longer just a feeling in the air. It was tangible and it was closing in with every passing minute. The following morning, Anya convened with Liam and Commander Davies to try and make sense of the situation. She recounted Marcus's warning and the unsettling encrypted communication. Liam was immediately alarmed, urging Anya to treat the threat with utmost seriousness. Commander Davies, too, seemed unusually grave, as if the mention of this specific danger had triggered a deep-seated concern. I don't like the sound of this, Commander Davies said, his voice somber. We've navigated many threats together, but this has a different feel. We need to identify who is behind this, and quickly. Anya knew Davies was right. There was no more time for hesitation. She couldn't disregard the warnings any longer. Something significant was approaching, and it was jeopardizing everything she valued. Everything she had worked to protect was at risk. As the core team gathered, they recognized that the fate of the mind shift was hanging in the balance, and they had no way of knowing how far-reaching this danger would be. One thing was undeniable: if they didn't act swiftly, they might not have the chance to prevent what was about to occur. But even as they prepared to confront whatever lay ahead, Anya couldn't shake the premonition that the worst was still to come. The storm was intensifying, and no one could foresee what would happen when it finally broke. Would Anya survive? Would the mind shift withstand the attack? And who, if anyone, would be left standing when the situation stabilized? As Anya delved deeper into the digital shadows surrounding her former mentors, Alistair Finch's past operations, the tension within the mind shift escalated. Cryptic data fragments, unsettling encounters with unknown operatives, and unexplained system breaches became more frequent, and Anya could no longer deny the severity of the situation. It wasn't just the threat of someone from Finch's clandestine past emerging, it was something much more insidious, more perilous, and profoundly personal. The more Anya uncovered, the clearer it became that Finch's involvement with a shadowy organization known as Cipher wasn't just a peripheral chapter in the unit's history, it was the linchpin that had held a complex web of secrets together for years. It had been Finch's strategic decisions that inadvertently created vulnerabilities that allowed Cipher to operate undetected. Now, after years of dormancy, Cipher was resurfacing, and they weren't merely interested in settling old accounts. They were determined to complete an agenda that had been set in motion long ago. Anya's newfound comprehension of this hidden history sent a cold dread through her. If Cipher had been waiting for the opportune moment to strike, then that moment had unequivocally arrived. But what was their ultimate objective? Were they targeting the mind shift infrastructure itself, or was their primary focus on The situation grew even more precarious when Anya discovered something even more disturbing: a connection between Cipher and a series of compromised intelligence assets from years prior, involving the mind shift and allied agency. Within these old encrypted logs, Anya found a pattern of sophisticated infiltrations, coerced informants, and veiled threats, all tracing back to Cipher's covert activities. The mind shift had always been more than just an intelligence unit. It had been a critical node in a larger, unseen conflict, and as much as Anya tried to deny it, she could no longer pretend she was merely caught in the periphery. The mind shift was at the epicenter of this struggle, and Cipher was resolved to exploit its weakness. Her suspicions were validated when an estranged former analyst of Finch's, a shadowy figure named Elias Thorne, Cipher's apparent new orchestrator, made his presence known through a series of untraceable digital intrusions into the Mindshift supposedly secure network. Thorne had never been an overt part of Finch's acknowledged operations, but his digital emergence was the first clear sign that the situation was escalating rapidly. His intrusions were unsettling, not just because of their sophisticated, almost untraceable nature, but because of the way he seemed to possess an unnerving level of knowledge about the Mindshift current vulnerability. His cryptic messages, taunting Anya's efforts, sent her into a desperate race against time, leading her to realize that this conflict was far more intricate than she had ever conceived. "You don't understand, Anya," Thorne's synthesized voice echoed in a secure channel he had breached. "Finch thought he could insulate you, but there's no escaping the network's memory. Cipher is coming for everything he built, and it's not just the data they want, it's the control. It's you." Anya was aghast. Her pulse quickened as the weight of Thorne's declaration settled in. She had believed she could protect her unit and its mission, but now it felt as though everything was on the verge of system failure. She couldn't shake the feeling that Thorne, and by extension Cipher, had been manipulating events all along, laying the digital groundwork for their resurgence, playing a long strategic game. The pieces were finally aligning, but the digital battlefield was vaster and more complex than she had ever imagined. The subsequent days were a whirlwind of activity. Every secure server, every encrypted channel within the Mindshift felt different, tense, vulnerable, as though a single misstep could trigger a catastrophic system collapse. Anya was more vigilant than ever, constantly checking for backdoors and anomalous activity, aware that something was closing in on her, something she couldn't easily outmaneuver. The unit's AI systems seemed agitated, even those designed for maximum stability and calm. Every time Anya accessed the core servers, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being actively countered, her digital footprints erased almost as quickly as she made them. The sensation on the back of her neck was a constant. It wasn't just paranoia, it was the instinct of a seasoned operative. The danger was undeniably real and adaptive. The most terrifying moment occurred one late night when Anya was alone in the primary server room, attempting to trace the origin of a particularly insidious piece of malware. A flicker in the server status lights caught her eye. Anya froze. A synthesized voice, Thorne's, echoed softly from the room's intercom, a system that should have been offline. "Anya," she spun around, heart hammering to see a live video feed flicker onto a main monitor. It showed Marcus, her former contact, looking distressed. But something was terribly wrong. His face was pale, his eyes wide with a fear she'd never seen in him. His usual composure had disintegrated, replaced by a look of sheer terror. Before she could speak, Thorne's voice, now layered over Marcus's image, spoke again. "He wanted to help you, Anya. Loyalty is such a predictable vulnerability. You have to listen to me," Marcus's recorded voice pleaded, his image glitching. "It's not over, Thorne, Cipher. He's not done with you. He's going to dismantle everything, starting with your credibility, then your team." Anya was stunned. Thorne's cruelty and Marcus's evident fear were unlike anything she'd encountered directly. The fact that Thorne was using Marcus in this way, knowing the psychological impact, made it clear that this was a deeply personal and ruthless attack. She tried to speak, to demand Marcus's status, but Thorne cut her off. Thorne's voice, smooth and chilling, "I can't explain it all right now, can I, Marcus? But Anya, you need to understand your position. Thorne is orchestrating something vast, something that will strip everything from you. You have to realize you're outmaneuvered. You're not safe, not even within your own wall." Anya's mind raced as she processed Thorne's taunts and Marcus's desperate warning. Everything they had been contending with, the encrypted calls, the targeted messages, the strange behavior from previously trusted assets, it all suddenly coalesced. Thorne and Cipher weren't just probing, they were executing a meticulously planned operation, something far more dangerous, something designed to completely destabilize the Mindshift, and it was all intricately tied to Anya. Before Anya could formulate a response, the video feed of Marcus cut out, replaced by Thorne's mocking digital avatar. He then severed the connection, leaving Anya with more questions and a chilling search. The next morning, Anya couldn't shake the sense of dread that had embedded itself deep within her.
Something was imminent, something unavoidable. She couldn't keep reacting. She had to anticipate it, but fighting this unknown entity alone was becoming untenable. There was a growing realization that no matter what countermeasures she deployed, she was caught in the crosshairs of a formidable and unseen enemy. The digital pieces were all in place for a decisive confrontation, one that would determine the fate of the mind shift. But what if she couldn't neutralize the threat in time? What if the digital storm that was brewing wasn't something that could be weathered with standard protocol? What if, much like the echoes of past failures, it was too pervasive to escape? Every decision she made from this point forward could mean the difference between safeguarding everything she held dear or witnessing its complete annihilation. The stakes had never been more critical. As Anya surveyed the complex network architecture that represented her unit's operational core, she understood that the true battle was only just beginning. As the pressure continued to intensify, Anya recognized that the time for operating in the shadows and denying the true extent of the threat had long passed. Her world, which had always been anchored by the security and protocols of the mind shift, was now on the precipice of systemic failure. Each day brought new, alarming intelligence, each piece more terrifying than the last, and it became painfully evident that nothing was as it initially appeared. Anya's confidence in her team, her superiors, even her own analytical abilities, was beginning to fray, and she was struggling to determine her next strategic move. The sense of potential betrayal was pervasive, but she had no alternative but to continue her investigation. Amidst this escalating chaos, Anya resolved to confront the one individual who had always been her confidant, the person who might still possess the key to the intelligence she so urgently required, Liam. They had navigated countless high-risk operations together. If anyone could help Anya make sense of the escalating complexity, it was her trusted second-in-command. That evening, after another fraught day spent attempting to unravel the enigma of Elias Thorne and his sinister agenda for the mind shift, Anya met Liam in a supposedly secure off-site location. The ambient city noise did little to mask the palpable tension between them. "I'm out of my depth, Liam," Anya confessed, her voice strained despite her efforts to maintain composure. "I don't know who to trust anymore. I don't know what intelligence is reliable." Liam offered a sympathetic nod, his brow creased with concern as he took in Anya's evident distress. "You don't have to face this alone," Liam said reassuringly. "We'll dissect this together. You know I have your six, no matter what." But Anya wasn't entirely convinced. The more she uncovered about Thorne's connections to the Mindshift foundational programming, the more she realized that the looming confrontation wasn't just about protecting the unit's assets, it was about her own survival. Thorne had made it unequivocally clear that Anya was the focal point of his vendetta, and she couldn't dismiss the ominous feeling that the storm that had been gathering was about to reach its destructive zenith. Despite Liam's assurances, Anya's mind was assailed by doubt. What if the very people she implicitly trusted were unknowingly or otherwise compromised by the dark history that had precipitated Thorne's resurgence? "I found something," Anya said quietly, producing a heavily encrypted data drive from a concealed pocket. It contained fragmented logs, covert correspondence, and biometric markers, evidence she had painstakingly gathered over the recent days. She interfaced the drive with a secure reader, and Liam's eyes scanned the rapidly decrypting files with growing alarm. "It's all here," Anya continued, her voice low. "Every compromised protocol, every coerced operative. Thorne isn't just targeting our data streams. He's aiming for systemic control. He wants everything, and he's clearly willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his objective." Liam's face paled as he absorbed the implications of the decrypted information. "Anya, these aren't just old operational breaches. These are active threats. These individuals weren't just involved in past skirmishes. They're pawns in a much larger game. This could dismantle the entire unit." Anya nodded, her heart heavy with the undeniable truth. The darkness that had been lurking within the mind shift's legacy had not only resurfaced, it had evolved, and Anya now had to confront it directly. "I can't protect the unit alone, Leah. I can't even guarantee my own security. If we don't take decisive action now, everything we've strived for could be irrevocably lost." Liam met Anya's gaze, a blend of apprehension and resolve in his eyes. Then we act together, we fight, we reclaim control of our network. Anya wanted to believe him, but deep down, she knew that the situation was no longer straightforward. Thorne wasn't just fighting for information or access. He was fighting for something far more insidious, the power to fracture their unity and expose their deepest vulnerability. As the pieces of the complex puzzle clicked into place, the stakes were escalating exponentially, and the danger was no longer confined to the digital realm. It was manifesting in the physical world. The following morning, Anya and Liam decided to initiate a high-risk counter-operation. They discreetly contacted their most reliable assets, Commander Davies, a few veteran field agents who had worked with Finch, and even some contacts with an allied intelligence agent. They understood the impending fight would be perilous, but they were resolute in their determination to face it head-on. However, what they hadn't anticipated was the chillingly precise message that materialized shortly after they set their plan in motion. An unmarked, encrypted data burst, bypassing all standard security layers, was received directly by Anya's terminal. It contained only one file, a live satellite image of Anya and Liam, conferring in their supposedly secret meeting location. A look of grim determination etched on Anya's face. But what made the image so profoundly unsettling was the superimposed text that scrolled across it in stark red letters. "Your move is anticipated. This is only the overture." Anya's stomach lurched as she stared at the image. Whoever Thorne was, he clearly possessed near-omniscient surveillance capabilities, and wasn't intimidated by their countermeasures. In fact, it seemed as though he was goading them into making a move. "We can't afford to hesitate any longer," Anya said, her voice taut with a combination of fear and steely resolve. "It's time to confront this threat directly. No more defensive postures, no more evasions." Liam nodded, but his eyes were filled with foreboding. What if this isn't just about Thorne? What if he's merely the visible component of something far larger, something more deeply entrenched? Anya didn't know what to believe anymore. The truth had become so enmeshed in layers of deception, so distorted by hidden agendas and compromised loyalties, that it was nearly impossible to distinguish past threats from present reality. But one thing was chillingly clear: